Good morning. This is Mark Halpert speaking from Coral Springs today. And with the college admissions scandal, I have somewhat different views on this issue, and I've partnered with people like Linda Silver to address how people get accommodations. And in a separate interview, Linda describes how to get a 504 and how to do it right. But in this interview, Linda's going to actually interview me.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
I know that there's a lot of outrage right now by parents in the disabilities community over the college admission scandal. Do you share that perspective?
Outrage, absolutely. There are parents that did things that are egregious, they're just terrible, and the system should deal with them as such. But I actually see this as a real opportunity. For the most part, parents are not, there are many kids that are not identified with learning disabilities. There are kids that have 504 plans that are incomplete. There are kids who have academic needs that need to be met. And we can address all of those by helping parents to be informed, empowered, and proactive in helping their kids. So I think this is actually an opportunity for professionals like you, Linda, and myself, and others to actually help parents to help their child succeed.
Well, that's somewhat of a contrarian view on this subject because all the articles that I've been reading are more gloom and doom, regarding the scandal. So can you please explain that a little bit more?
Sure. The average kid that comes into our office, and 3D Learner is an organization that's dedicated to helping kids be all they can be. They come to us and they're often not identified with either a learning disability or have a plan in place for accommodations in school through a 504 plan. And the numbers are kind of staggering. The numbers of 5% of the kids are identified with learning disabilities, but there's probably 15 to 20% of the population that has them. The same thing with ADHD. There are a lot of kids with ADHD that don't have accommodations. And we want to make sure that parents get those because the majority of parents are just out there not sure what to do. And the college admission scandal opens the door for parents to say, oh, I need more information. And the last part of that is a lot of these kids, parents will come to us with a child who's got a problem. They want accommodations, which is a legitimate request and should be met. But their kid is reading 3 or 4 grade levels below their grade level, and their reading speed is, let's say, 125 words a minute, whereas their classmates are reading at 250 or 300 words a minute. There's a huge opportunity to help that child succeed and be much more successful in college, in high school, college, and beyond. So I think this whole scandal opens up the door for parents to say, what can I do to help my kid be the best they can be while having the accommodations that they fairly need?
So what can parents do if their child's not being identified as having a learning disability, or maybe they have dyslexia? What do you advise them? How should they go about this?
So the first thing to do is know where your school's at. And very often there's this response intervention process that's been put in place. It's the most consistently inconsistent process in the world. It's designed in theory to say 20% of the kids are struggling with certain level of interventions. We can help them with, if they don't make progress, we can move them to a more intensive process for RTI, where maybe a teacher comes into the classroom to help the regular teacher. And then the third level, they might get pulled out for what's called tier 3 services. And if the process still is not helping the kid achieve grade level, they might be evaluated for special education services. The regulations are quite specific. Melody Musgrove, who is the director of the Office of Special Education Programs, I was in a meeting with her once and I said, we're having this problem. And she said, didn't you get my memo? And I said, no, but I'm sure that's about to be corrected. And she gave us the memo, which clearly states that RTI cannot be used to delay or deny an evaluation. So very often, parents who come to us will, the next day, submit a request for an evaluation. And this whole process is on our page called the RTI Trap, which talks about the process, has form letters that parents can use to request an evaluation, and has Melody Musgrove's letter, which clearly says, and I've never had it fail, by the way, never had a school to deny an evaluation when it's been requested properly.
Well, I wanted to share with you that there are school districts that have gotten into trouble because they have delayed the evaluation process because the child was in RTI. And it's very specific. It could be done simultaneously. You do not have to for one.
And that's what the letter says, that RTI cannot be used to delay or deny an evaluation. And the process is, again, you've done this in another interview, there's a consent form. You have to give consent for the evaluation, but we have parents be very specific. Submit the letter in writing, get it stamped, make sure you get the consent form signed quickly. Schools in Florida have 60 calendar days to evaluate your child. Check with the school a week or two after, make sure they're on target to move this process forward. We've seen some parents it took a year to have this happen, but when you monitor it really closely, it turns out miraculously the RTI process and the evaluation come together at the same time with data from the RTI process, with an evaluation from the psychologist, and the school could make an informed decision with the parent. And the parents have the right, in Florida at least, to bring anyone with them. But I strongly urge them not to bring anybody, because there are some advocates out there that are what I'll call confrontational. They're professionals like you, Linda, and ourselves that are collaborative and also know what's going on. So we strongly recommend they bring somebody with them who actually understands the system.
You have to understand how the system works, and you also have to understand the laws. And so, it's so important that you hire the right person that knows how to do that. But I just want to go back to one quick thing when you talk about the 60 days, because sometimes that's a tactic that is used to delay. And so that timeline starts the minute the consent form is signed and returned. The clock starts ticking. So it's super important to get that going immediately.
And I actually have the parents, give their informed consent as quickly as possible, because that's really unclear to most people. They think it's 60 days from the letter they give to the school.
It's when you sign consent.
That's right.
So, Mark, what would you recommend to parents, if their child is far below their potential? What should they be doing?
Okay. What we recommend is find out first what your child's present level of performance is. Now, schools will often say a child is, below grade level, but you want to know how far below grade level your child is in reading on passages equal in length and complexity to what they're going to be tested on. So, for instance, the FSA is an 800-word or 1,200-word passage. You want people tested on that. And we'll often have parents come to us who think their child is a grade below and find out their kid is 3 or 4 levels below. And this is especially true of the SAT and the ACT, where they'll find out their child is reading at 120 words a minute when they should be reading at 250 words a minute. And even accommodations don't help that, because if I start talking really slowly, which is kind of what people are, the way they're reading, it's torturous to actually understand what you're reading when you're reading that slowly. And unfortunately, a lot of the interventions wind up slowing a child down because they're trying to be so precise in what they read rather than reading for comprehension. So first, we recommend to find out what the present level of reading comprehension is. Second, everybody agrees with a quote that says, if a child's not succeeding the way they're being taught, change the way you teach them. Well, it turns out, in our experience, we had a child who was 3 years below as she entered high school, and we realized that the way they were teaching her wasn't the right way. So we strongly recommend parents find out how your child learns best. Okay. because most of the kids who struggle are visual learners, and most of the interventions are what we call left brain approaches, logical, sequential, and auditory, which don't play to the kids' strengths or interests. The other three things that are really important are: one, the visual processing. Turns out visual processing, that is how well the eyes work when they're reading, is the number one reason why kids read slowly. They don't process the information quickly or correctly. So they'll often skip words and lines when reading. So we actually use a Visograph, which puts eye goggles over a child's eyes that has some sensors in it, and it actually shows how the eyes track. And then there's processing issues, working memory, processing speed, okay, that get in the way. And those are actually addressable. So we'll have a kid come to us who's a visual learner with attention issues, with visual processing and work and memory issues, reading 3 or 4 years below grade level. And you can actually get them to grade level in 4 to 6 months. And you can double their reading speed. So when somebody asks me, are you trying to improve the kids' skills or getting them the right accommodations they need to succeed? The answer is yes. You want your kid to be as good as he or she can be, at the same time being fair about it. Because here's one of the most important things. When you look at a logical sequential learner, they often process things like a Word document used to get processed in a 56K machine. It happens quickly. But a visual learner often takes longer to process the same information. Therefore, the accommodations they get are fair. They give the kids what they need to succeed, okay, and put them on a level playing field with their peers. So we recommend get the assessment, and we actually at 3D Learner offer something called a focus assessment, which looks at what's the child's present reading speed and comprehension of vocabulary levels, what's the child's reading attention like, what's their eyes like, and gives the parents a plan that says, this is where your child's at, this is what you can do with the school, and this is what you can do to help your child be all they can be.
Well, you gave a lot of information that the parents, I think, can definitely look at and think about and act on. So
yeah, and all they have to do, go ahead,
is how can they get in touch with you?
Okay, so there are several ways to do it. One, the best thing we found is pick up the phone and call us, 561-361-7495. It's a great way to just start the conversation. The other thing is we have a no-cost online assessment at 3dlearner.com/assessment, which looks at how your child learns best, where they're strong, where they're weak, and it looks at, do they have an attention or visual processing issue? And we get that literally if a parent does it, and we strongly recommend doing it with your child because you'll be shocked at the answers. Like, why didn't you tell me you see double? Why didn't you tell me that the words move on the page? Because the kid doesn't know that everybody doesn't have the same challenge. So do the assessment with your child. We see the results immediately. Then we can have the phone conversation. You call us or we can call you. And get the conversation going. Because what the parents want to know more than anything is, why is it that all the hard work and all the interventions I've done haven't succeeded? And the answer is often, you're not teaching, the programs don't teach the way your child learns. They don't address the underlying attention, visual processing, work and memory processing, speed or anxiety issues. And as a parent, I'm a recovering screamaholic. I used to get angry at my kid. And we coach parents on how do you be calm and focused parent who helps your kid be all they can be. And I can tell you, if I can survive it, because I'm at least a 4th generation screamaholic, you can make a huge difference in your kid's life by working on the accommodations, helping your child be all they can be, and taking down that stress level at home so your child sees you as the advocate. Because as you've so well put in other conversations, parents are the best advocate for their child.
Well, thank you, Mark. You are a wealth of information, and parents hopefully are going to take you up on that and give you that phone call.
And if parents would like to join the conversation, we're going to be posting this on our 3D Learner Facebook page, and we're going to be having more interviews and really keep this conversation going. And parents, success starts now. Thank you. Okay.